The trading station floated in the darkness between stars, a place where dozens of alien species came to buy and sell. Kixter moved through the crowded marketplace, his scaled hands checking the quality of refined metals. He was a merchant, and a good one. His reptilian eyes missed nothing. "You hear about the human warship?" A small trader whispered nearby. Kixter's tail twitched with amusement. "The ghost ship? Please. Humans are barely spaceworthy. They have nothing that could threaten real powers." The small trader leaned closer. "My cousin saw it. Near the Belter system. He said it was massive, covered in weapons he couldn't identify." "Your cousin is a liar or a fool," Kixter said, walking away. But he had heard this story before. Too many times. Across the galaxy, in a library filled with data crystals, Vril worked alone. The insectoid scholar had spent 3 years collecting every mention of this mysterious human ship. Her compound eyes scanned through files, her delicate limbs organizing information that contradicted itself constantly. One report said the ship was 10 kilometers long. Another claimed it was small and fast. Some witnesses described it as black as space itself. Others swore it shined like a star. A few claimed it could appear and disappear at will. Most said it didn't exist at all. Vr. Ill made careful notes. She had interviewed 47 beings who claimed to have seen the vessel. Their stories were different, but they all agreed on one thing. The ship was called the Eternal Vigil, and its captain was named Day One. The name appeared in smuggler logs, in military reports that were quickly classified, in the frightened whispers of pirates who had lost entire fleets to something they couldn't explain. Always the same name. Always the same ship. She compiled her data and prepared a report. The Hegemony Council would dismiss it, she knew. They always did. The elder races who ruled the galaxy believed humans were primitives who had stumbled into space travel by accident. The idea that these newcomers possessed a weapon of legend was offensive to them. In the darker corners of space, Krenth the Destroyer sat on his command throne. The massive alien's 4 arms gripped the armrests as he reviewed reports from his pirate fleet. 47 warships answered to him. He was the terror of 6 systems. "Commander, we have warnings from Hegemony patrols," his second officer reported. "They suggest we avoid human territories." Krenth's laughter boomed through the bridge. "Humans? Those soft things that beg for peace? I've seen their colony ships. Weak hulls. Light weapons. They're prey, not predators. Sir, there are stories about a human warship that... Stories." Krenth slammed a fist down. "Ideal and reality, not bedtime tales. The Hegemony wants us to fear humans, so we'll leave their shipping lanes alone. It's politics, nothing more." His second officer said nothing more. Krenth had been raiding for 20 years. He knew his business. But still, the warnings kept coming. On a dozen worlds, in 100 languages, the stories spread. Traders told of a human ship that had saved them from raiders, appearing from nowhere and vanishing just as quickly. Mercenaries spoke of a vessel that had destroyed an entire battle group in minutes. Refugees whispered about a warship that had evacuated them from a dying station before anyone else knew disaster was coming. The descriptions never matched. The details always conflicted. But the name remained constant. Eternal Vigil. Captain Day One. Lieutenant Ha. Engineer Tay-Min. Some said Day One had never lost a battle. Others claimed he could predict enemy movements before they happened. Hana was described as cold and calculating, making decisions that seemed cruel until you understood their brilliance. Tay-Min supposedly kept the ship running with technology that shouldn't exist. The Hegemony Council met in their grand chamber. Representatives from 70 species gathered under crystal domes. Councilor Vex, an elder statesman of the Vexenar race, addressed the assembly. "We have reviewed the reports of this supposed human superweapon," Vex said. his voice carrying authority. Our analysts have determined it is a propaganda operation. Humans are attempting to appear more powerful than they are to gain diplomatic advantage. What about the witness accounts? A younger counselor asked. Unreliable, Dex responded. Different species, different sensor technologies, all seeing what they want to see. Humans are clever storytellers. They've created a legend from scattered coincidences and lucky encounters. The council voted. The official position was clear. The human warship Eternal Vigil did not exist. It was a myth, nothing more. But in the quiet moments, in the spaces between official statements, doubt lingered. Because if it was just a story, why did it spread so far? Why did even hardened warriors hesitate before entering human space? Far from the councils and the trading stations, a distress signal cut through the void. The human colony of New Hounday, home to 50,000 people, broadcast an emergency message. Hostile fleet approaching. Overwhelming force. Request immediate assistance. The message reached Earth's defense network minutes later. In the command center deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Sung-ho read the report. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his hands moved with practiced speed across the controls. He opened a communication channel that had been closed for 20 years. A channel that reached out to Saturn's moon, Titan. A channel that would finally answer a question the galaxy had been asking. Does the Eternal Vigil exist? Sung-ho's message was simple. Captain Day 1, you are cleared for deployment. Show them the whispers were real. In the hidden shipyard orbiting Titan, lights activated for the first time in 2 decades. The silence of years was broken by the hum of awakening systems. And in the darkness of that secret dock, something vast began to move. Captain Day 1 stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigil, his eyes scanning the displays that surrounded him. He was a lean man in his 40s, with gray starting to show at his temples. For 20 years, he had commanded this ship in silence, waiting for a call that might never come. Now the call had arrived. All stations report ready status, Lieutenant Hana said from her position. She was younger than Day 1, precise in every movement, her voice never showing emotion even when her eyes did. Engineering confirms all systems are operational. Day 1 nodded. Tamin, how are we looking? From engineering, the voice of their miracle worker came through. Captain, she's hungry to move. 20 years of waiting, and every system is perfect. I've run diagnostics 3 times. The Vigil is ready. The bridge crew numbered only 30 people. Small for a warship, but every person here was the best Earth had. They had volunteered for this life, knowing they would spend years in isolation, training for a moment that might never happen. They had missed births, weddings, funerals. They had given up everything to be humanity's hidden shield. Communications. Get me Admiral Sung-ho. Day 1 ordered. The Admiral's face appeared on the main screen, tired but determined. Behind him, Day 1 could see the organized chaos of Earth's Defense Command. Captain, New Hounday has 48 hours at most, Sung-ho said without preamble. The pirate fleet is led by Krent the Destroyer. Intelligence says he has 47 warships. He's bombarding from orbit, and our colony's shields won't last. Day 1 studied the tactical data flowing across his screens. Casualties? Dr. Yuna and her team are evacuating civilians to underground shelters. So far, 300 dead. That number will climb fast once the shields fail. What about reinforcements? Sung-ho shook his head. Our nearest battle group is 6 days out. You're the only asset that can reach them in time. Hannah stepped closer to Day 1, her voice low. Sir, deploying now means revealing everything. The galaxy will know we've been hiding this capability. I know, Day 1 said quietly. Admiral, the hegemony will not be pleased. Let them be displeased, Sung-ho replied. Those are our people dying, Besides, the secret was never going to last forever. Better to reveal it saving lives than in some political game. Day 1 straightened. Understood, sir. The Eternal Vigil is launching. The communication ended. Day 1 turned to his crew, seeing the mixture of excitement and fear on their faces. They had trained for this, but training and reality were different things. This is what we built this ship for, he said. Not for conquest. Not for glory. For this exact moment, when our people need us and no one else can help. Ji-Woo, prepare all weapon systems. Hannah, plot the jump to New Hounday. Taemin, I need full power to engines and shields. Yes, sir. The responses came in unison. The Eternal Vigil was not the massive ship that legends describe. It was 300 meters long, smaller than many alien cruisers. But what it lacked in size, it made up for in technology. Human engineers had spent decades developing systems that the galaxy had never seen. Daewon walked to the observation port and looked out at the ship that had been his home for 20 years. Sleek and angular, covered in armor that could absorb incredible punishment. Weapons that could strike with precision at impossible distances. And the quantum displacement drive, Taemin's masterpiece. That could make the ship appear to teleport short distances. Captain, we're ready to disengage from dock, Hana reported. Do it. The clamps released with metallic clangs that echoed through the hull. For the first time in 2 decades, the Eternal Vigil moved under its own power, drifting away from the hidden facility on Titan. All crew, secure for faster-than-light jump, Day 1 announced. Jump in 60 seconds. On New Hounday, Dr. Yuna ran through the colony's emergency shelters, her tablet showing the shield strength dropping steadily. She was a xenobiologist, not a soldier, but right now she was doing whatever kept people alive. Doctor, the children are asking questions, a teacher said, her face pale. Yuna forced a smile. Tell them help is coming. Tell them Earth never abandons its people. She believed it. She had to. But the orbital bombardment was relentless, and every impact made the ground shake. The colony had never been built for war. It was a research outpost, a place of learning and discovery. Now it was dying. Her communicator buzzed. Dr. Yuna, this is Colony Administrator Hyan Woo. Earth Command just sent a message. They're sending help. How long? She asked Doc. There was a pause. They say 48 hours. Yuna looked at her tablet. At the current rate, they had 36. She said nothing, just nodded and kept moving. Above the colony, Krent watched the shields flicker and weaken. He was in no hurry. Let the humans suffer. Let them send their desperate messages to Earth. By the time any help arrived, there would be nothing left but ashes and slaves. Commander, the colony is hailing us, his communications officer said. Ignore them. They have nothing we want to hear. His second officer approached cautiously. Sir, our sensors picked up unusual readings from the outer system. Something jumped in. Krant barely glanced at the display. Probably their transport ships trying to evacuate. Let them come. We'll destroy them too. Aboard the Eternal Vigil, Day 1 counted down the hours. They had jumped to the edge of the New Hounday system, far enough out to avoid immediate detection. Now they were accelerating inward, running dark, giving Krength no warning. Tactical, what are we looking at? Day 1 asked. Warrant Officer Ji-Woo brought up the enemy fleet composition on the main screen. She was the youngest person on the bridge, barely 30, but she could calculate firing solutions faster than the ship's computer. 47 ships confirmed, Captain. Mix of cruisers and destroyers. They're in a loose orbital formation, focusing fire on the colony's main shield generator. Their flagship is hanging back, probably where Krength is. Hana studied the formation. They're overconfident. No scouts, no patrol pattern. They don't expect resistance. Good, the one said. We're going to give them a very bad surprise. Tame in. Status on the displacement drive? Charged and ready, Captain. We can make 15 jumps before we need to recharge. Day one allowed himself a small smile. Then let's make them count. All hands, battle stations. We're going in. The Eternal Vigil dropped out of its approach, run at the edge of the system's gravity well. On Krenth's flagship, a sensor technician noticed the signature immediately. Commander, unknown vessel detected. Distance, 1 million kilometers. Krenth looked up from his meal. Type, unknown, sir. The energy signature doesn't match anything in our database. Show me. The display activated, showing a ship that seemed too small to be a threat. Krenth's eyes narrowed. The design was unfamiliar, angular, and sleek. Human, certainly, but unlike any human vessel in the hegemony records. Just one ship? Krenth asked. Yes, Commander. Krenth laughed. The humans send one ship against my fleet? Are they insane or stupid? His second officer was less amused. Sir, we should be cautious. We don't know its capabilities. I know it's alone, Krenth said. And alone means dead. All ships target that vessel. Let's teach the humans what happens when they challenge me. Aboard the Eternal Vigil, Day One watched as 47 ships turned toward them. His crew was silent, focused, ready. They're locking weapons, Jiwoo reported. Energy spikes across their entire fleet. Captain, incoming transmission, communications said. Put it through. Krenth's face filled the screen, all four arms spread wide in a gesture of dominance. Human vessel, you have made a terrible mistake. Surrender now, and I will kill you quickly. Day One's expression didn't change. His voice was calm, almost conversational. This is Captain Day One of the Earth defense ship Eternal Vigil. You are attacking a civilian colony. Leave now. You will not receive another warning. Krenth's laughter was harsh. Earth defense ship? Is that supposed to frighten me? I have 47 warships. You have one. The math is simple. The math, Day One said quietly, is not what you think. This is your last chance. Krenth cut the transmission and shouted to his fleet. All ships fire! Destroy them. 47 warships unleashed their weapons simultaneously. Missiles, energy beams, kinetic rounds, all converging on one small ship. It was enough firepower to crack a moon. On the Eternal Vigil, Hana calmly announced, impact in 3 seconds. The crew braced. The weapons struck their shields like a hammer hitting an anvil. The ship didn't even shudder. The shield generators, built with technology decades ahead of anything the galaxy had seen, absorbed every joule of energy without strain. Damage report, Day One said. Shields at 98%, Hana replied. No damage to hull or systems. Krenth stared at his screens in disbelief. Impossible. Nothing could survive that. Scan them again. Sir, their shields are still active. They're undamaged. For the first time, Krenth felt a whisper of doubt. But he was a warrior, and warriors didn't retreat. All ships, continuous fire. Overwhelm their shields. Day One watched the second volley approach. Jiwoo, you may fire when ready. The warrant officer's hands moved across her controls. Targeting solutions locked. Firing rail cannons. The Eternal Vigil's main weapons were simple in concept. Take a solid projectile, accelerate it to 3% of light speed using electromagnetic fields, and let physics do the rest. At that velocity, even a small round carried enough kinetic energy to shatter a mountain. 3 rounds left the ship in rapid succession. They were invisible to the naked eye, moving too fast for conventional sensors to track. They struck 3 of Krent's cruisers before anyone realized the Eternal Vigil had fired. The ships didn't explode. They simply came apart, their hulls unable to withstand the catastrophic transfer of energy. Metal vaporized. Atmosphere erupted into space. Thousands of pirates died before they knew they were under attack. The pirate fleet's formation broke into chaos. Ship captains screamed over open channels, trying to understand what had happened. Krent's second officer was shouting damage reports, but Krent himself was silent, staring at the debris that had been 3 of his best ships. They killed them in 1 shot each, someone whispered on the bridge. Day One's voice cut through the chaos on the pirate channels. He had opened a broadcast to the entire fleet. "This is Captain Day One. You were warned. Leave now, or share their fate." Krent found his voice. "All ships, evasive maneuvers. Scatter and attack from multiple angles." The fleet began to move, but they were fighting an enemy they didn't understand. Tae-min activated the quantum displacement drive, and the Eternal Vigil seemed to vanish from one position and appear in another, 3,000 kilometers away. "Displacement successful," Tae-min reported. "Energy reserves good. We can maintain this for the duration." The pirates fired at where the Eternal Vigil had been, hitting nothing. Before they could adjust, it appeared again, this time behind a cluster of destroyers. Ji-woo fired again, and 2 more ships broke apart under the rail cannon assault. Krent was screaming orders, but his fleet was in complete disarray. They had trained to fight enemies who followed predictable patterns. The Eternal Vigil didn't. It appeared, fired with surgical precision, and vanished before they could respond. "Captain, they're trying to surround us," Hana observed, watching the tactical display. "Let them try," Day One said. Ji-woo, prioritize the heavy cruisers. Tae-min, keep us moving. Don't let them establish firing solutions. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 8 minutes. 8 minutes of the Eternal Vigil dancing through space, appearing and disappearing like a ghost, each appearance bringing death to another pirate ship. The quantum drive made it impossible to predict, and the rail cannons made every shot count. 20 ships, 23, 25. The count climbed as Ji-woo worked her weapons with cold efficiency. She targeted engines, bridges, weapon systems. The Eternal Vigil wasn't trying to destroy every ship, just to cripple them, to break their will to fight. Krent watched his fleet die and finally understood. The legends were real. Every impossible story, every contradictory report, every dismissed warning. They were all true. The humans had built something the galaxy had never seen, and they had been hiding it, waiting. "Retreat," he finally ordered. "All ships, jump to." "Sir, our jump drives are offline," his navigator reported. "Some kind of electronic interference. We can engage faster than light travel." Ji-woo smiled at her station. "Electronic warfare package deployed successfully, Captain. They're not going anywhere until we let them." Hannah pulled up a tactical overlay. 20 ships destroyed, 15 crippled, 12 attempting to flee at sublight. That leaves Krent's flagship. Day One studied the display. The massive flagship hung in space, weapons still armed but not firing. Krent knew he was beaten. "Hail them," Day One ordered. Krent's face appeared again, but the arrogance was gone. In its place was something the pirate lord had never shown before: fear. "Captain Day One," Krent said carefully, "I acknowledge defeat. What are your terms?" "Leave this system immediately. Surrender your weapons and jump drives. You and your surviving ships will be escorted to neutral space and released. Refuse and I will cut your ship in half." Krent's pride warred with his survival instinct. Pride lost. I accept. Then power down your weapons. But Krent's hand moved toward his weapons console, a final desperate attempt to salvage something from this disaster. His fingers reached for the firing control. Ji Woo saw it and fired. A single rail cannon round struck the flagship's centerline, and the massive ship split cleanly in two pieces, atmosphere venting in crystalline clouds. Krent the destroyer died, still reaching for a weapon he would never fire. The remaining pirate ships surrendered immediately. Dr. Yuna stood in the ruins of New Hounday's main plaza, watching as rescue teams pulled survivors from collapsed buildings. The shields had failed minutes before the Eternal Vigil arrived. 3 city blocks had been destroyed in the final bombardment. The death toll was climbing past 800, but it could have been 50,000. She had recorded everything from the colony's sensors. The entire battle, from first contact to Krent's death. 8 minutes that changed everything? She uploaded the footage to the colony's communication array and watched as it propagated across the galactic network. Within hours, every species with faster-than-light communication had seen it. The human warship that existed only in whispers had become undeniably real. On the Hegemony Council station, Councilor Vex watched the battle footage for the 3rd time. His hands trembled slightly, something that hadn't happened in decades. Around him, the council chamber was in chaos. Representatives shouted at each other in a dozen languages. "Order!" Vex demanded. "We need order!" The chamber slowly quieted. A young counselor from the Prith species stood. "Councilor Vex, you told us the human warship was propaganda. You said it didn't exist." "I was wrong," Vex admitted, the words bitter. "Our intelligence clearly failed us." "Failed us?" Another counselor shouted. "The humans have been hiding military technology that exceeds our own. They've been watching us, studying us, preparing for this moment." Vex raised his hands for calm. "We don't know their intentions. One ship does not make a threat. It destroyed 27 warships in 8 minutes." Someone yelled back. "How many ships do they have? How long have they been building them?" The questions echoed through the chamber, and Vex had no good answers. He called for an emergency session and sent an urgent message to Earth, demanding they reveal all military assets immediately. The response came from Admiral Sungho 6 hours later. It was broadcast publicly, for all species to hear. To the Hegemony Council and the galactic community, Sungho began, his image appearing on screens across known space. 40 years ago, humanity made contact with intelligent alien life for the first time. We came in peace, eager to learn and share. We were met with hostility, exploitation, and violence. 3 of our first colony ships were destroyed. Thousands died. Vex watched the recording, feeling a weight settle on his shoulders. He remembered those incidents. The council had dismissed them as accidents, misunderstandings. Sungho continued. "We learned that the galaxy is not a safe place. That good intentions mean nothing without the strength to protect them. So we built that strength. In secret, yes. Because we knew that if the hegemony discovered our efforts, they would demand we stop. Would call it aggression. Would punish us for daring to defend ourselves." The Admiral's expression hardened. "The Eternal Vigil is not a prototype. It is not our only ship. Earth has been building a defensive fleet for decades. We now have 12 vessels of similar capability, with more under construction. We did not build them for conquest. We built them for exactly what happened at New Hounday. To protect our people, but no one else will." The transmission ended, and the council chamber erupted again. 12 ships. 12 vessels that could do what they had seen in Dr. Yuna's footage. The power balance in the galaxy had shifted overnight. Far from the political centers, in a university library on the planet Kryx, Vril watched the same footage with satisfaction. She had been right. The legend was real. She immediately began compiling a new report, analyzing what the battle revealed about human tactics and technology. The humans used psychological warfare first, she wrote. They allowed legends to spread, creating fear and uncertainty. When they finally revealed themselves, the impact was maximized. The enemy was already defeated mentally before the battle began. Her report went viral within academic circles. Suddenly, every species wanted to understand how humanity had accomplished this. Military academies studied the tactics. Engineers tried to reverse engineer the technology from the footage. Diplomats debated what it meant for galactic politics. On New Day, Captain Day One walked through the colony's refugee center. People stared at him, some with gratitude, some with awe, a few with fear. He was no longer a secret. His face was known to trillions of beings across the galaxy. Dr. Yuna approached him, her medical coat still stained with dust and blood. "Captain, thank you. Without you, we would all be dead." Day One nodded. "Just doing our job, Doctor. How are your people?" "Alive, mostly. We lost 837. But 50,000 are safe because of you." They walked together through the center. Children who had been hiding in shelters hours before now played games, the resilience of youth already returning. Adults worked to salvage what they could from the damaged sections. "Captain, may I ask something?" Yuna said quietly. "Why did you wait so long? If you had ships like this, why let the raiders and pirates terrorize us for years?" Daewin was quiet for a moment. "Because revealing a weapon too early makes it useless. The hegemony would have demanded we disarm. Other species would have built countermeasures. We needed time to build enough ships to prepare properly. And we needed the galaxy to understand we're not aggressive. That we only fight when we must. And now? Now everyone knows. The secret's out. What comes next is up to them." That question was being answered across the galaxy. Some species, particularly younger ones who had chafed under hegemony dominance, sent diplomatic envoys to Earth. They wanted alliances, mutual defense treaties, access to human technology. Commander Bulora received 3 such delegations aboard her ship. The Silent Horizon, humanity's second revealed warship. She was a careful diplomat, weighing each offer, making no promises. "We're not trying to build an empire," she told the Prith ambassador. "We're trying to survive." "Then survive together with us," the ambassador replied. "The hegemony has dominated the galaxy for too long. With your technology and our numbers, we could change everything." Ba'ara considered. "I'll relay your proposal to Earth, but understand this. We won't start wars. We'll only fight to defend ourselves and our allies. That's all we ask." But not everyone wanted peace. In the shadows of hegemony space, Fleet Marshal Vexter assembled a battle group in secret. 140 warships, the largest force the hegemony had mobilized in decades. "The humans have embarrassed us," Vexter told his officers. "They've made us look weak. We need to demonstrate that their technology, impressive as it is, cannot stand against superior numbers and experience." His second-in-command was cautious. "Sir, the Council has not authorized military action against Earth." "The Council is old and frightened," Vexter snapped. "I'm not asking for authorization. I'm conducting security inspections along the border. If the humans interfere, that's their choice." On the Eternal Vigil, now on patrol along the border zones, Lieutenant Hana monitored long-range sensors. She saw the hegemony fleet assembling and immediately reported to Day One. "Captain, we have a problem." Day One studied the sensor data. 140 ships. Even with the Eternal Vigil's capabilities, those weren't good odds. "Get me Admiral Sungho. And contact the Silent Horizon and the Morning Star. Looks like our break was shorter than expected." Hannah sent the signals. "Sir, this could be the war we were trying to avoid." "Maybe," Day One said. Or maybe it's a chance to prove we're serious about peace. That we won't back down, but we won't attack first either. Depends on what they do next. Across the galaxy, everyone watched and waited. The whispers had become reality. Now reality would determine the future. The Eternal, Vigil, and its sister ships moved to intercept positions along the border. Earth's diplomatic corps worked frantically to defuse the situation. The younger species prepared their own fleets, choosing sides. Vril updated her analysis. Humanity has changed the galactic equation, she wrote. The question is no longer whether they can defend themselves. It's whether the hegemony can accept a galaxy where they are not the dominant power. The answer to that question will determine if we face peace or war. Dr. Yuna, still on New Hounday, watched the news feeds with growing concern. She had seen what one human ship could do. She didn't want to imagine what a full-scale war would look like. In the refugee center, children asked her if the bad ships would come back. She smiled and lied, telling them everything would be fine, but she wasn't sure she believed it anymore. 6 months after New Hounday, the Eternal Vigil held position at the Antares border, where human space met hegemony territory. Captain Day 1 had not left his ship in weeks. The tension was building, and everyone felt it. 2 other human warships flanked the Eternal Vigil. The Silent Horizon, commanded by Biora, held the left position. The Morning Star, under Captain Jahan's command, held the right. 3 ships against whatever the hegemony would send. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple jump signatures, Hana reported. They're coming. Day 1 straightened in his chair. How many? 90 ships and counting. Sir, it's an entire hegemony battle fleet. The ships appeared one by one, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in a coordinated formation. They were massive, built over centuries by civilizations that had mastered space travel before humanity left Earth. Their hulls bore the marks of 1,000 battles. At the center of the formation was the largest ship Day 1 had ever seen. 5 kilometers long, bristling with weapons, shielded by technology refined over generations. The flagship of Fleet Marshal Vexter, but Vexter was not commanding this fleet. That honor belonged to Counselor Dex himself, who had insisted on leading this mission personally. 3 human ships, Dex said from his command throne, studying the display. They must know this is suicide. His tactical officer was less certain. Sir, these are the same class as the vessel that destroyed Krent's fleet. We should be cautious. We have 90 ships, Dex replied. Even with their technology, numbers matter. They cannot be everywhere at once. Dex opened a communication channel to the human ships. Day 1's face appeared on his screen, calm and unreadable. Captain D1, I am Counselor Dex of the Hegemony Council. You and your vessels have entered a restricted security zone. You will submit to inspection or be removed by force. Day 1's expression didn't change. Counselor, we are in human territory. You are the ones who have crossed the border. Return to hegemony space, and there will be no conflict. The hegemony does not recognize your territorial claims in this sector, Dex said. You will comply with our security requirements or face the consequences. From the Silent Horizon, Commander Biora sent a message on the human command channel. Day 1, they're trying to provoke us into firing first. Don't give them the excuse. I know, Day 1 replied. Jahan, are you ready? The commander of the Morning Star responded immediately. All systems green. Waiting on your order. Day 1 took a breath and opened the channel to Dex again. Counselor, we have no intention of submitting to your inspection. We also have no intention of firing first. This is a standoff. The question is, are you willing to start a war over your pride? Dex's face darkened. This is not about pride. This is about galactic security. You have hidden weapons of unprecedented power, The hegemony has a right to ensure they are not a threat. We use those weapons to save a civilian colony, Day One replied. We could have remained hidden, but we chose to act. That should tell you our intentions. It tells me you're willing to reveal yourself when it suits you, Dex countered. It tells me nothing about your long-term plans. The diplomatic channels between Earth and the hegemony were burning with emergency messages. Ambassadors from a dozen species tried to mediate. The younger races pleaded for restraint. But at the border, 90 hegemony ships faced 3 human vessels, and the slightest mistake would ignite a war. Captain, they're moving into attack formation, Hana reported. Still no weapons lock, but they're positioning for it. Day One opened the command channel to his fellow captains. Ba'ar, Jahan, we go to defensive formation Delta. Taemin, link our quantum drives with theirs. We need to move as one unit. From engineering, Taemin's voice was steady. Linking drives now. This is going to drain power fast, Captain. We can maintain synchronized jumping for maybe 30 minutes. Then, we make those 30 minutes count. The 3 human ships shifted position, forming a triangle formation. Their quantum drives synchronized, creating a shared displacement field. They would appear and disappear as a single unit, multiplying their defensive capabilities. Dex watched the formation change and felt his certainty waver. The humans were preparing for battle, but they still hadn't fired. They were waiting for him to make the first move. His tactical officer leaned close. Sir, their formation is purely defensive. If we attack, we will be the aggressors. The diplomatic consequences, I know the consequences. Dex snapped. But he did know. Starting a war based on pride would fracture the hegemony. The younger species would use it as an excuse to break away. Everything he had worked for would crumble, but backing down would make the hegemony look weak. All ships, prepare to fire, Dex ordered. Target the center vessel. Overwhelming force. Simultaneous strike. 90 ships charged their weapons. On the human ships, alarms sounded. Ji Woo prepared firing solutions for all 3 vessels, coordinating with her counterparts on the other ships. Captain, they're about to fire, Hana said quietly. Day One's hands gripped his armrests. This was it. The moment that would decide everything. He could order a preemptive strike, try to cripple the hegemony fleet before they fired. But that would make humanity the aggressor. It would prove every fear the hegemony had. Or he could wait, trust in their shields and technology, and hope they could survive the first strike. Hold fire, he said. All ships, hold fire. Let them shoot first. Ba'ar's voice came through, tight with stress. Day One, that's 90 ships worth of weapons. Our shields are good, but hold fire, he repeated. We defend. We don't start this war. On the hegemony flagship, Dex raised his hand to give the final order. His finger hovered over the control. Everything went silent in his mind. Then he thought about the footage from New Hounday. The impossible maneuvers. The devastating weapons. The complete tactical superiority. He had 90 ships, yes. But could they hit targets that could teleport? Could they penetrate shields that had absorbed a fleet's worth of firepower without strain? And if they did manage to destroy these 3 ships, how many more human vessels were waiting? The humans had revealed 12. How many were still hidden? His finger lowered. He looked at Day One's face on the screen, seeing the same calm determination he had shown at New Hounday. The human wasn't afraid. He was ready. Ready to die, if necessary, but also ready to take half the hegemony fleet with him. Dex made his decision. Power down weapons, he ordered quietly. Sir? His tactical officer said in disbelief. Power down weapons, Dex repeated, louder. All ships, stand down. The hegemony fleet's weapons went dark. On the human ships, The crews didn't relax, but the immediate threat had passed. Dex opened the channel to Day One again. Captain, I have reconsidered. The hegemony does not wish war with humanity, but we require assurances. We need to know your intentions. Day One took a moment before responding. Counselor, I will tell you exactly what I told Krenth before he died. Leave. This is your last warning. Or what? Dex asked. You'll attack 90 ships with 3? No, Day One said. I'll defend human territory. And if you fire on us, I'll show you the same thing I showed Krenth. That numbers don't matter as much as you think they do. Dex stared at the human captain for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. You're bluffing. You have to be. 3 ships cannot defeat 90. You're welcome to test that theory, Day One replied. But ask yourself this, Counselor. I had a clear shot at your flagship 3 times in the last 10 minutes. My weapons officer has had you targeted since you arrived. I could have destroyed your command ship before this conversation started. Dex checked his own sensors and realized it was true. The Eternal Vigil's weapons had been locked on his flagship the entire time. I could have ended this, Day One continued. But I didn't, because humanity doesn't want war. We want to be left alone to live in peace. But we will not be threatened. We will not be bullied. And we will not back down. The silence stretched between them. Finally, Dex spoke. If I withdraw, the younger species will see it as weakness. The hegemony's authority will be questioned. Then question it, Day One said. Maybe it's time for the galaxy to evolve beyond domination and submission. Maybe it's time for genuine cooperation between equals. Dex closed his eyes. When he opened them, he had made his choice. Fleet, prepare for withdrawal. We are returning to hegemony space. His officers protested, but Dex silenced them. That's an order. The 90 ships began to turn away from the border. Slowly, majestically, they retreated. On the human ships, crews cheered, hugged, cried with relief. But Day One just watched them go, his expression unchanged. Sir, we did it, Hana said. They're leaving. For now, Day One replied. This isn't over. This is just the beginning. He was right. Over the following weeks, 17 younger species formally requested defensive alliances with Earth. The hegemony, humiliated by Dex's retreat, began internal debates about their approach to galactic governance. Vril published a comprehensive analysis titled The Human Method, Power Through Restraint. Dr. Yuna, back on New Hounday, watched the news and finally allowed herself to hope. The children in the refugee center asked if the bad ships would return. This time, she smiled and told them the truth. The good ships were watching over them now, in alien bars across the galaxy. The stories continued.